What's up, everybody? It's 2025 and I finally beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And if you're trying to catch up on games like me, let's kick it off and see if we found one that's worth the play. Kicking off the review, first things first, this game is stunning. Playing on the PlayStation 5, it still holds up with the visuals and performance. I mean, look at this view right here. The only thing I will say to knock performance was the load times. You do not want to die or have to restart in this game because it will take a few minutes to load back up. With that being said, being on a PS5, I didn't see any frame rate drops, any load-in textures. That was the extent of my complaints with the loading screen taking forever to get you back to the game. But for a game that's more, not necessarily open world, it's not linear either. It's more on the long lines of, the Last of Us type games, the God of War type of games where you have these open areas and you can kind of choose which route you go. For that being said, the game ran very smooth. Along with the open areas, the game has a bunch of stuff for you to do as far as exploration, collectibles, and you do want to do as much of that as you can while you're playing the story. Trust me, the game rewards the player for exploring. Throughout the 34 hours I spent playing this game, I did not get tired of force pushing enemies off a cliff. It is a blast. Jumping into the gameplay though, which I think is the bread and butter of this game, this is what really will keep you wanting to play for hours on hours. The gameplay, traversal, everything you do with combat is incredible in this game. It is so well done. It is fluid, it doesn't miss a beat, and it all makes sense. When it comes to platforming and third-person games, I'll put this up there with the very best of them, like the Uncharted's. So, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the story is all about our main character, Cal Kestis. And like most Star Wars stories, you start off in the junkyard, in the trenches. One thing leads to another, bada bing, and then you're on the journey of a lifetime. The story picks up a few years after the infamous Order 66 was executed. Cal Kestis, now in hiding, is trying to live a normal life off of the Empire's radar and just barely getting by when his powers are exposed. So it's a pretty standard, straightforward story, nothing too out of the ordinary. But one of the things they do highlight and get right with the story is the long-term effects and trauma that came with the Order 66 being executed, not only for our main character, but some of the other characters that we meet along the journey. Cal's whole character, his demeanor, and his relationship with the Force are all affected, and the survivor's guilt that haunts him plays throughout the entire game. I would also mention that this game does not hold your hand. There are things that you will find out later in the game that you would have loved to know in the beginning, so I'm here to tell you now without any spoilers. First things first, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you this game plays like a Souls game as well. I mentioned the God of War comparisons with the open travel and stuff, but it's also like a Souls game. As you play and travel these different worlds, there'll be some markings on the ground. That's where in-game you'll be able to meditate, but it's actually like a save point. It's where you'll get to see your skill tree, you'll get to rest up and get all your power back. But also, if you die, no matter where you die, the last part you saved, the last part you meditated at, that's where you will respawn. So you can be all the way across the map, have to run all the way back. Later on in the game, once you unlock more stuff and your traversal becomes better and more doors are open, maybe it's not that bad, but in the beginning of the game, it is a big deal to have to run across all the way map to get back to where you were. So keep that in mind. Wherever you rest up, that is where your respawn will be. That is your anchor. The second thing to go with that as well is once you rest up, all the enemies respawn back. So if you just wiped out an area and you go to rest, those enemies will appear back again. Thirdly, to follow up with that, if you do die to an enemy, all your XP and your life force will be with that enemy. So you have to go back and kill that person to get it all back, which is a cool little game mechanic that they added. And trust me, I was going for my lick back every chance I got to get my XP. Learn how to parry. That will be your friend. Once you get to some of these Jedi hunters and these other boss fights and enemy types, you can just be swinging and hacking at them and it will not work. You have to throw that parry in and get some blocks to lock in that parry. Trust me, you don't want to be in a loop just getting beat up. It will help. On the flip side of that same coin, learn to parry, upgrade your force as much as possible, and upgrade your life as much as possible, because these enemies will knock you out clean. There's bounty hunters in the game. Once you start going back to the same places a few times, bounty hunters will come at you, and that's a great way to get some XP if you can take them out. The fifth and final thing, the collectibles matter. So there's a lot of collectibles in the game. There could be the ponchos, there could be stuff for BD1, like I said, for Cal Kestis or the Mantis, the ship you ride, but there are important ones like the dual edge lightsaber. And you can get that and you can completely miss it. So find the collectibles, they do help out and they get you some superpowers that can make a huge difference. Wrapping up the gameplay portion of the review, what really hooked me again is the gameplay. It's some of the most fun I've had, definitely in a Star Wars game, some of the most fun I've had, period, in the game. It's really well done, and shout out to the team that worked on this. Once you get past the learning curve and you unlock some of these moves, I'm telling you, you go to town, you really start feeling like that guy, the ultimate Jedi, and it's just so fun. All in all, for my playthrough, it took about 34 hours to complete the story, get all the collectibles, and fully upgrade my skill tree. If you're crunched on time and just want to beat the game, the story is about a 20-hour playthrough on its own.
The offer stands. Keep it in mind.
The last thing I'll touch on are the characters and customization. Throughout the game, there's a bunch of characters that you'll meet in your journey. Like any Star Wars story, there's a ragtag group of misfits that come together to take on the impossible. With the side characters that you do meet, the game did leave you feeling like you wanted more from them. You only see them kind of in passing or during a few cutscenes. There's not a lot of meat on the bone with those. I'd love to see in a different medium, maybe a TV show where they can explore more of some of the side character stuff. But from what you got from some of the side conversations or some of the cutscenes, some characters like Seer had a really interesting story and dynamic where she's a former Jedi Master who lost her Padawan during Order 66, and you see that dynamic play out through the whole game.
That doesn't look good. It isn't. It's him. Run!
After so many years since this game has come out, after a sequel, playing it on the PlayStation 5, all I can tell you is I absolutely love the game. It is definitely worth it. It's a must play if you haven't played it already. I highly recommend it, and I'm so looking forward to the sequel. Keep an eye on the channel. This is the West Coast Pop Reviews, the final boss knock. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.